turn now to Ahmed Versi from the Muslim News. Ahmed.
Hi, good afternoon. I would like to, I understand that both NHS England and Public Health England have got an inquiry into the disproportionate impact on the COVID-19 on the BAME communities. I would like to know what are the terms of reference for this inquiry and the names of the members of this inquiry. And secondly, why is it that whenever questions are asked regarding this impact of COVID-19 more disproportionately on the BAME communities, the answer we always get is to do with biological reasons. We might talk about because of the high preponderance of diabetes, heart conditions, and so on. Don't you think there are more structural issues like racism and discrimination that that's in the community and as well as in the national health?
Well, I think those are very powerful questions and challenges, Ahmed. The work that's going on to look at the what appears to be a significant additional number of deaths amongst the BAME population is being conducted by a variety of people in the NHS, Public Health England, and of course we're being supported by Sir Trevor Phillips and others in looking at those figures. And it is the case, of course, that you need to look at these things, as you fully appreciate, in the round. It may be the case that amongst some minority populations there is, as you indicate with the reference to diabetes, a greater prevalence of comorbidities. That may be a factor, but it may also be the factor that, as we know, inequality can contribute to public health outcomes, and it may be that we need to take a step back and look more broadly at some of the inequalities that exist within our society. But I certainly wouldn't want to prejudge that question, and certainly I know that Steve knows far more about these questions than I do from a scientific point of view. Steve? Yeah,
so it's an incredibly important question or set of questions. So the investigation is being undertaken by Public Health England. We at NHS England don't have the core experience or the experts in the particular work areas that need to look at this. That is an area where Public Health England has the expertise. We will, of course, support Public Health England, but the Chief Medical Officer has asked Public Health England to look at that. I haven't got a full list of the names of people who will be involved in that, but I'm sure that will be available. As you have said, it is possible that some of the underlying conditions that are associated or are a higher prevalence in certain ethnic groups might be important because they are also risk factors that mean it's more likely to either get the virus or to suffer the complications. But as you quite rightly said, that might not be the only reason. And it's really important that that Public Health England and colleagues who are working on this go in with an open mind and look at all the possible causes. Biological causes may well be one part, but it's important that it's looked at in the round. I absolutely agree with you there.
Thank you very much, Steve. Ahmed, did you want to follow up?
Yeah, you mentioned Trevor Phillips. There's two issues here. One is he recently said that the death rates from the Pakistani and Bangladeshi communities was not significantly higher than the general population. However, all the reports that I have read shows that the Pakistani and Bangladeshi communities are actually very much a higher rate of deaths than the general population. And the reason that he gave, which is very surprising, is that because they are doing ritual ablutions. What kind of a person that you are employing makes that kind of conclusion?
Well, I'm not aware of those comments, but I do know that Trevor Phillips, as chair of the Equalities and Human Rights Commission, was always someone who was driven by the data, and Public Health England would do nothing else other than follow the data in coming to appropriate conclusions. And of course, we do need to look at, as we discussed earlier, and as Steve mentioned, potentially some biological factors, but also, as your question implied, also perhaps some socioeconomic or structural factors which may lead to inequality, and that inequality may have been as a result of discrimination. But we need to look at all these things proportionately, and I think anyone who's prepared to give their time, who is a distinguished public servant like Trevor Phillips, to help us in this endeavour, is someone whose support we welcome.